The first thing I heard was the sound of a heart monitor. Beep, beep, beep. It was slow, steady, almost mocking, like time itself was reminding me that I was still alive, whether I wanted to be or not. My eyes refused to open. A crushing weight pressed against my head, as if someone had cracked my skull open and forgotten to put it back together properly. Every thought felt distant, foggy, like I was trying to think through water. I tried to move my fingers. Pain shot up my arm. A low groan escaped my throat. "Easy, sir," a calm voice said. "Don't try to move yet." The accent was American. Clean. Professional. I forced my eyes open. Blinding white light flooded my vision. I squeezed them shut again, heart racing. When I tried once more, the world slowly came into focus. White ceiling tiles, fluorescent lights, and the unmistakable smell of disinfectant. A hospital. Machines surrounded my bed. Tubes ran into my arm. A heart monitor blinked beside me, confirming what my body already knew. I was fragile, broken, barely stitched together. A man in blue scrubs stood beside me, clipboard in hand. He looked to be in his early 40s, calm eyes, practiced expression. "Welcome back," he said. "You're at St. Mary's Medical Center. Los Angeles. Los Angeles." The words echoed in my mind, but they didn't spark recognition. They just existed. "Do you know your name?" he asked gently. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Panic surged through my chest. I don't, my voice cracked. "I don't know." The doctor's expression tightened, just slightly. Not surprise, concern. "That's okay," he said quickly. "That's okay. It happens sometimes after head trauma." Head trauma. I lifted my hand, noticing the bandages wrapped around it, the faint tremor in my fingers. "What happened to me?" "You were in a car accident," he replied. "A severe one. You were unconscious when the paramedics brought you in. You've been in a coma for 6 days." 6 days. It felt like I'd just blinked. "Was anyone with me?" I asked. The doctor hesitated. "Yes," he said. "Your family." Family. Another word that should have meant something, but didn't. He turned slightly and spoke toward the door. "You can come in now." The door opened. A woman rushed in first, mid-50s, tear-streaked face, trembling hands. She grabbed my arm without hesitation, sobbing. "Oh my God," she cried. "You're awake. Thank God you're awake." I stared at her. Nothing. No warmth. No recognition. No memory. She froze. Her eyes searched my face desperately. "It's me," she said. "Mom. Mom." The word landed heavy in my chest. And suddenly something clicked. A memory surfaced like a lifeboat breaking through the fog. A kitchen. The smell of coffee. A woman laughing while scolding me for being late. Warmth. Safety. "Mom," I whispered. She collapsed against my chest, crying harder. Behind her came a man, older, broad-shouldered, eyes red but controlled. He didn't rush me. He stood there quietly, like he'd been holding himself together for days. "Dad," I said before I even realized it. His jaw tightened. He nodded once, placing a hand on my shoulder. Relief spread through my chest. I knew them. Somehow, despite everything, I knew them. More people followed, faces that sparked recognition one by one. My younger brother. My cousin Mark. An old friend from college. Each name came to me slowly, but it came. Each face unlocked something. The doctor observed quietly, jotting notes. Then she walked in. She was beautiful. Tall, slender, dark hair pulled back neatly. She wore an expensive beige coat, her makeup flawless despite the situation. Her expression wasn't frantic like my mother's. It was controlled. Guarded. She stopped a few steps away from my bed. Our eyes met. Nothing happened. No memory. No recognition. No emotional response. Just emptiness. She swallowed. "It's me," she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes flickered. "Your wife." The room went silent. My mother stiffened. I looked at her again, really looked at her. She was attractive, yes. Confident. But there was no connection. No spark. No familiarity. "I'm sorry," I said slowly, my heart pounding. "I don't know you." Her face drained of color. "What?" she whispered. The doctor stepped in immediately. "This is not unusual," he said. "Selective memory loss can occur. Emotional trauma sometimes." "No," she interrupted sharply. "No, he remembers everyone else." Her eyes searched my face like she was trying to force recognition into existence. "You remember them," she said. "You remember your parents, your brother, your friends." I nodded. "Yes. And you don't remember me?" I shook my head. Her hands curled into fists. Something dark flickered across her expression. Fear, anger, something deeper. I'm his wife, she insisted, turning to the doctor. We've been married for 4 years. For years. The word felt hollow. I believe you, I said carefully. I just don't feel anything. The silence that followed was suffocating. My mother cleared her throat. Maybe it's temporary. The doctor nodded. It could be. The brain is unpredictable. Memories may return over time. But the woman, my wife, wasn't listening. She stared at me like I'd betrayed her. You don't remember me, she repeated slowly. After everything. Everything. The way she said it made my chest tighten, not with love, but with unease. Over the next hour, the doctor asked me questions. Dates. Places. Names. I passed most of them, except anything involving her. Our wedding? Blank. Our home? Empty. Our life together? Nothing. Eventually, my parents were asked to step outside so I could rest. She stayed. She pulled a chair close to my bed, crossing her legs with stiff elegance. You're really telling the truth, she said. You're not pretending. I don't even know why I would pretend, I replied. Her lips pressed together. She studied me, eyes sharp, calculating. You used to look at me differently, she said. Like I was your whole world. I searched her face, hoping for some flicker of memory. Nothing. I'm sorry, I said quietly. Her expression hardened. You always say that, she muttered, almost to herself. What? She stood abruptly. Nothing. She grabbed her bag and walked toward the door, then paused. You may not remember me now, she said without turning around. But you will. There was something chilling in her tone. The door closed behind her. I exhaled, not realizing I'd been holding my breath. Something was wrong. I didn't know her, but somehow, deep in my chest, my instincts screamed that forgetting her might not be an accident. It might be a blessing. As I lay back against the pillow, staring at the ceiling, one thought echoed in my mind louder than the heart monitor beside me. If my mind erased her, maybe it did so to protect me. And whatever truth I'd lost with my memory, I had a feeling it would come back. With consequences. The second day after I woke up felt heavier than the first. Not because of pain, though my head still throbbed whenever I moved, but because reality had begun to settle in. The kind of reality that doesn't scream at you all at once, but seeps in slowly, like cold water creeping up your skin. I remembered my parents, my brother, my friends, my past, but not my wife. The nurses came and went, checking vitals, adjusting IVs, asking the same questions. I answered them easily. My name, my age, my job. Software engineer. Downtown Los Angeles. A decent life, by all external standards. Except one missing piece. Her. She'll be back later, my mother said gently while helping me sip water. She just needed air. I nodded, though something inside me tightened. She doesn't seem very happy, I said. My mother paused. Just for a second, but I noticed. She's under stress, she replied carefully. Anyone would be. That wasn't an answer. Later that afternoon, the doctor returned with a specialist, a neurologist this time. He explained things in calm, clinical language, but I caught the important part. Your memory loss is selective, he said. Your brain is not damaged in a way that would erase one person randomly. There is usually an emotional reason. Emotional? I asked. He nodded. The mind sometimes protects itself by burying memories associated with trauma, stress, or prolonged emotional pain. I swallowed. So you're saying forgetting my wife might not be temporary? It might be, he said honestly. But it also might not be. After they left, I stared at the wall for a long time. Trauma. Emotional pain. Protection. What had she done to me? The door opened quietly. She walked in without knocking. This time she didn't rush. Didn't smile. Didn't pretend. She stood there like someone entering an enemy's territory. You look better, she said. Physically, I replied. Her eyes flicked up sharply. So you do remember sarcasm. I remember myself, I said. Just not us. She pulled the chair closer but didn't sit. Instead, she leaned forward, placing her purse on the table with deliberate precision. They told me this could happen, she said. Selective amnesia. They also said it usually has a reason. Her jaw tightened. You think I hurt you? I think my mind thinks you did. She laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. You always did overthink everything. That sentence sent a strange chill through me. Always did. Like she knew me far better than I knew her. Tell me, I said. What kind of husband was I? She hesitated. Devoted, she said finally. Too devoted. That doesn't sound like a flaw. It is, she replied sharply. When it turns into obsession. Obsession. I leaned back against the pillows. So I obsessed over you, and you what? Tolerated me. Her eyes darkened. You were insecure. Always asking questions. Always doubting. About what? About everything, she snapped. My work. My friends. My loyalty. My chest tightened. Were you loyal? Silence. She picked up her purse again. You're not ready for this conversation. I think I am, I said. Because I don't remember being insecure, but I do remember being confident. She scoffed. People change. Or they're made to feel small. That did it. She slammed the purse down. You think you're some victim now? I think, I said slowly, that the man I remember wouldn't forget his wife unless forgetting her saved him. Her face went pale. You don't know what you're saying. Then help me understand, I said. Because right now, everyone who walks into this room feels familiar. Safe. I looked straight at her. Except you. Something cracked. Not fully, but enough. You don't remember the fights, she said. The nights you accused me of not loving you. The way you looked at me like I owed you something. Owed, I repeated. I was your husband. And I was suffocating, she shot back. The words hung between us, sharp and unforgiving. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she straightened her coat. You're going to need me, she said. You can't just erase 4 years. I didn't erase them, I replied. My mind did. And minds can be wrong. She walked toward the door, stopping with her hand on the handle. I'll bring photos next time, she said. Videos. Proof. Proof of what? Of us. The door closed. Again, I felt relief. That night, my brother stayed late. He sat beside my bed, arms crossed, eyes thoughtful. You don't remember her at all? He asked. Not even a shadow. He nodded slowly. Maybe that's not a bad thing. I turned to him. You don't like her. He exhaled. I respected your choices. That's not an answer. He looked at me for a long moment. She never treated you like an equal, he said finally. More like a convenience. My stomach dropped. Why didn't you tell me? You wouldn't listen, he said. You always defended her. That stung. Did she love me? He hesitated too long. She loved what you provided, he said carefully. Stability. Status. Comfort. Not me. When he left, sleep didn't come easily. Images flashed behind my closed eyes, not memories but feelings. Loneliness. Doubt. Trying too hard. I woke up sweating. The next morning, she came back, this time with a stack of photos. Wedding pictures. Smiling faces. Vacations. Celebrations. I studied them closely. The man in the photos was me. But his smile looked forced. In every picture, I leaned toward her. In every picture, she leaned away, just slightly. I don't look happy, I said. She frowned. You were. No, I replied. I was trying to be. Her eyes narrowed. You're rewriting history. No, I said softly. I think I'm finally seeing it. She gathered the photos angrily. This isn't how this was supposed to go. Maybe, I said. This is exactly how it was supposed to go. She stared at me with something close to fear. For the first time, I understood something clearly. Forgetting her took away her power over me. And she knew it. As she walked out, one thought burned in my mind. If remembering her would hurt, then her regret had only just begun. By the 3rd day, the rhythm of the hospital had become predictable. Nurses bustled past my bed, monitors beeped, and visitors came and went. My body was healing, but my mind remained a maze of shadows and blank spaces, especially when it came to her. I had seen her twice since waking, and each encounter left me more uneasy than the last. She was always impeccably dressed, always calm, but behind her polished exterior, I could sense something sharp, an edge I couldn't yet define. She wasn't a wife I remembered. She wasn't the woman who had laughed with me over stupid jokes, who had rested her head against my shoulder during quiet evenings. She was someone else, a stranger in familiar skin. When she arrived that morning, I had a sinking feeling before she even entered the room. She came in silently, her heels clicking softly against the hospital floor. Her eyes met mine, but this time, there was no pretense of warmth. Only calculation. I brought your things, she said, setting down a neatly folded stack of clothes and a few personal items on the bedside table. I studied the items carefully. A laptop, a phone charger, a journal. Everything was organized. Everything was perfect. Everything hers. Thanks, I said cautiously, not looking up. Her gaze lingered on me, piercing. You've been avoiding me, she said. I'm not avoiding anyone, I replied. I just don't know you. Her lips pressed into a thin line. You remember everyone else. My parents. Your parents. Friends. Colleagues. But not me. Yes, I said quietly. I remember everyone else. Everyone who matters. Except you. Her jaw tightened. I see. She leaned back in her chair, folding her legs, and her eyes never left mine. I suppose I should feel angry, but I don't. Not yet. I suppose it's worse than anger. It's fear. Fear of what? I asked, genuinely curious. She didn't answer at first. Instead, she stared at me like she was trying to memorize every line of my face. Finally, she said, Fear that I've lost you. I frowned. You think you lost me? She nodded slowly. You were always sensitive. Emotional. You could hold a grudge or forgive in a heartbeat. You could love fiercely, or stop loving just as quickly. And now, her voice trailed off. I waited for her to finish. She didn't. You feel nothing, she said finally. And it terrifies me. I swallowed. It wasn't a lie. I felt nothing. My chest was quiet. My heart was steady. The connection I had once assumed existed between us was gone, replaced with a strange neutrality. Maybe that's because I don't know you, I said gently. She smiled faintly, sharp, almost cruel. Maybe, she said. Or maybe it's because you always remembered the person you thought I was, not who I really am. The words struck me like a cold wind. I studied her face, trying to find traces of the woman I should have known. A flicker of love, a hint of tenderness. Nothing. Only the stranger, the woman who had been my wife in name, but perhaps not in soul. I'm not sure I ever knew you, I said softly. Her eyes narrowed, and for a brief moment, vulnerability flashed across her features. Then it was gone. Masked by control, by composure, by the armor she wore like a second skin. Do you know, she said after a pause, how hard it was to see you like this? Lying in that bed unconscious, unrecognizing me, every day, watching doctors poke and prod you, wondering if your mind would ever choose to come back to me. I kept my gaze on her, silent. You should feel something, she said finally, almost pleading. Some flicker of recognition. Some spark. Anything. I don't, I admitted. Her body stiffened. She stood suddenly, walking toward the window and gazing out at the city skyline. The sunlight fell across her face, highlighting the sharp cheekbones, the tension in her jaw, the way her hands clenched into fists at her sides. You make it sound so easy, she said quietly. Like my love, or whatever I thought it was, meant nothing to you. I don't mean that, I said. I just can't feel it. Not now. Not for you. Maybe never. The silence that followed was deafening. She turned slowly, eyes burning into mine. You're not angry at me, are you? Angry? I echoed. Why would I be angry? You should be, she said bitterly. I was your wife. I loved you, or at least I tried. And now, you don't remember me. You don't care. You're supposed to hate me for the things I did. I shook my head. I don't know what you did. Her face twisted, a mixture of frustration and something darker. Exactly. You don't know. And that's what scares me. You have no idea what I've done, what I've endured. And yet, you don't hate me. You just don't feel. I thought about it. About every interaction I had with her since waking. Every word, every glance. Nothing had provoked anger, resentment, or even longing. Only curiosity. And wariness. You fear me, I said finally. Not because of what you did to me, but because you sense I could see you clearly now if I tried. But I'm not trying. Her lips parted slightly, and for the first time, I saw something like doubt in her eyes. But it vanished quickly, replaced by composure, by that familiar mask. You don't understand, she said softly, almost to herself. I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always so calculating. Were you ever? I asked quietly. Her eyes flashed. Do you think I would have married you if I weren't? Do you think I would have tolerated your insecurities, your obsession, your constant need for reassurance? Marriage is compromise, control, strategy, not just love. I stared at her. The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. And then it clicked. This wasn't just selective memory on my part. This wasn't just the brain protecting itself. This woman, this stranger in my wife's body, had always been someone I could never fully reach. All those times I thought I knew her, I had only imagined it. I had only seen what I wanted to see. And now, stripped of memory, the truth was laid bare. She was not the woman I had loved, or thought I had loved. She was a stranger. And the realization was both terrifying and liberating. For the rest of the morning, we avoided each other. She left the hospital for appointments, work, errands. I stayed in my room, staring out at the skyline, replaying her words in my mind. The more I thought about it, the more I realized something else. I didn't miss her. Not one bit. Instead, I felt a strange, dangerous clarity. I could see her for what she was: sharp, self-protective, manipulative, but human. Vulnerable too, though she would never show it fully. And for the first time, I didn't feel trapped. I felt free. By the afternoon, my brother returned, this time with a new perspective. "You've seen her clearly now," he said. "The mask is gone, right?" "Yes," I replied. "And I like it, because now I can choose what to do. I'm not trapped by the past, or by memory. I can see everything clearly." His eyes darkened. "Then don't make the mistake of letting her back in without caution. She's clever. She's dangerous." I nodded. "I understand." That night, she came back again. This time, silent, standing in the doorway, waiting. I didn't flinch. I didn't look away. I studied her. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of the wife I didn't remember. I was curious. And curiosity, I realized, was far more dangerous than fear. The days in the hospital began to blur together, each one a mirror of the last, yet tinged with a creeping tension I couldn't shake. I remembered everyone, my family, my friends, even old colleagues. But her presence hovered like a shadow I couldn't name. When she arrived that morning, the air shifted immediately. She didn't smile. She didn't greet me warmly. She didn't even sit. She stood at the foot of the bed, arms crossed, evaluating me like a predator sizing up its prey. "You've grown stronger," she said softly. "Physically, at least. Mentally? I'm not sure." I raised an eyebrow. "Mentally?" "Yes," she replied, eyes sharp. "You're awake. You remember things. But you don't remember me. And that makes you unpredictable." I studied her face carefully. She was calm, but the subtle lines at her jaw and the tension in her hands betrayed something darker. She wasn't here out of love. Not anymore, if she ever had been. "What do you want?" I asked, leaning back. Her lips curved into a smile, cold, calculated. "I want you to remember. To feel. To realize that you can't just erase me and continue as if nothing happened." "I don't want to erase you," I said softly. "I just can't remember you." "You can't remember me," she repeated, voice low, almost a whisper. "But I remember you. Every flaw. Every insecurity. Every weakness." Her words hit harder than I expected. I realized that even in this fragile state, she was trying to regain control. Not over me, but over the narrative, the story of us, the version of me she wanted me to remember. "I'm not the same man you married," I said quietly. "Maybe that's why my mind chose to protect me." Her eyes narrowed. "Protect you? From me?" "Yes," I said calmly. "From someone I never truly knew." A flicker of something passed over her face, anger, shock, disbelief, but she masked it quickly. "You've always underestimated me," she said, voice smooth. "You've always thought you knew everything. But now you see me differently, don't you?" I didn't answer immediately. I watched her, noting every subtle gesture, every micro-expression. The way her eyes darted briefly to the window, the slight twitch in her lips, the way her fingers flexed before she let them relax. Every movement spoke louder than her words. "Yes," I said finally. "I see you differently. But not in the way you expect. I don't see a wife. I see someone dangerous. Clever. Manipulative. But human. Fragile in ways she refuses to show." Her face went pale. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said. "I just don't feel the way I'm supposed to. Love. Affection. Desire. Not for you. Not yet." Her eyes flashed with something fierce, almost feral. "You think forgetting me is easy?" "It isn't," I admitted. "It's liberating." The word hit her like a physical blow. Her composure cracked for a fraction of a second. Then she straightened, regaining control. "You're dangerous," she whispered. "You know that." "I'm awake," I said simply. And it was true. Awake. Not just physically, but mentally. Awake to the truth she had tried to hide. Awake to her subtle cruelty, her manipulations, her cold words disguised as concern. She had spent years undermining me subtly, questioning my choices, testing my patience, planting seeds of doubt. I hadn't realized it before, blinded by what I thought was love. But now, without memory as a filter, I saw the truth clearly. "You've always played a game," I said, voice low. And now, I know the rules. Her lips pressed into a thin line. She looked away, toward the city skyline, pretending not to feel the sting of my words. You're mistaken, she said finally. This isn't a game. This is survival. Survival, I repeated. Or control. Her eyes met mine, dark and unyielding. You think you're in control now, but you're not. Forgetting me doesn't change that. I studied her, noting the subtle cues, the slight tightening of her jaw, the way she shifted her weight, the coldness in her eyes. She was dangerous, yes, but I wasn't afraid anymore. You're afraid I'll expose you, I said quietly. All the times you smiled while hiding contempt. All the nights you masked anger with sweetness. You're afraid I'll see clearly now, without memory clouding my judgment. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. For the first time, I saw vulnerability. Not weakness, exactly, but a crack in her otherwise impenetrable armor. You don't know what it took, she said, voice breaking slightly. To be patient. To play the part. To make it look like love. I do now, I said calmly. And I see the cost. The cost to both of us. She stared at me, silent, her hands clenching at her sides. The mask of control slipped just enough for me to see the fear beneath. The fear that she wasn't untouchable anymore. You're different now, she whispered finally. I can see it in your eyes. Yes, I said. I am. Awake. Aware. Not afraid. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. Two people bound by years, yet divided by truth and memory. Then she spoke again, voice low but steady. You think you can see through me, but you don't. You've only scratched the surface. I don't need to see everything, I said. I just need to know enough to protect myself. Her eyes narrowed. Protect yourself? From me? Yes, I said simply. From the part of you that hid cruelty behind love. From the part that whispered poison in my ear disguised as care. From the part that never truly respected me. Her hands dropped to her sides. For the first time, she looked small, not physically, but in presence. The aura of dominance, of manipulation, of cold calculation, it wavered. You're braver than I thought, she said softly. And I misjudged you. I'm awake, I said again. And that was the truth. Awake, aware, free from the emotional chains that had bound me. She didn't leave immediately. Instead, she lingered, studying me, as if trying to memorize the man who no longer remembered her. Then, slowly, she turned and walked toward the door. I'll be back, she said over her shoulder. With more than words. With proof. Pictures. Messages. Reminders of what you've forgotten. I'll be ready, I replied. And when the door closed behind her, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, clarity. For the first time, I didn't feel trapped. I didn't feel manipulated. I didn't feel fear. I felt powerful. And I realized, in that quiet hospital room, that forgetting her hadn't been a curse. It had been a gift. The days ahead wouldn't be easy. She would come back. She would try to manipulate, to provoke, to reclaim control. But I had seen through her now. I had discovered the cold cruelty beneath the polished exterior. And for the first time, I knew I wasn't just awake. I was prepared. Prepared to see the truth. Prepared to stand against it. Prepared to survive. And if necessary, prepared to make her regret every moment she had ever tried to control me. By the fifth day, I had begun to understand the rhythm of her presence. Predictable, calculated, and always edged with tension. Every visit, every word, every glance was a test, a probe to see how much I remembered, how much I felt, and how much power she still held over me. But I had changed. I was awake, alert, clear, and for the first time in years, I saw her for exactly what she was. She arrived that morning with a folder in her hand. Not a casual stack of photos or a phone full of messages. A folder thick and heavy, labeled in neat handwriting. Proof of us. I watched her enter, her heels clicking against the hospital floor like a metronome counting down the moments before a storm. She paused at the foot of my bed and looked at me, eyes sharp, calculating. I brought the evidence, she said softly, setting the folder on the bedside table. Photos, messages, videos, everything. So you can't deny us. I leaned back against my pillow, folding my arms. I'm not here to deny anything. I'm here to understand. Her lips pressed together. Understand what? That you forgot me? That you don't care? That your mind chose to erase me while keeping everyone else? I studied her carefully. You're afraid, I said quietly. Not because I forgot you, but because you know I can see you clearly now. Without memory filtering reality, I can finally see the truth. Her eyes flickered, anger, fear, and something like panic. She didn't respond immediately. Instead, she opened the folder and spread photos across the bed. Wedding pictures, vacations, smiles frozen in time, messages filled with love, or what she had labeled as love. I examined them, carefully, methodically. The man in the photos was me. The woman was her. But the smiles weren't real. Not entirely. In almost every picture, I noticed the subtle things I hadn't seen before. A forced tilt of her head, as if posing for me rather than smiling at me. Hands loosely resting, never fully touching mine. Eyes flicking away, even in moments that were supposed to capture happiness. And in her messages, I found the patterns that matched her words in person. Control, manipulation, subtle undermining. Compliments that felt like tests. Affection that carried a price. I looked up at her. She was watching me, taut, waiting for me to react. I see it now, I said slowly. The games. The tests. The manipulation. Her face paled. What do you mean? I said, voice calm, deliberate, that you were never really a partner. You were an architect of my insecurities. Every smile, every word, every touch, measured, calculated, designed to control me. She flinched just slightly. I never noticed it before, I continued. Because I trusted you. Because I loved you, or thought I did. But now I see clearly. She closed her eyes briefly, as if to steady herself. When she opened them, her gaze was harder, sharper. You think you know the truth now, but you don't. You've only scratched the surface. I know enough, I said. Enough to realize I don't miss you. Not the real you. Not the one hiding beneath the mask. Her lips parted slightly, a flash of disbelief passing over her features. You're not angry? I'm not angry, I said. I'm awake. And awake isn't angry. Awake sees things as they are. A strange tension filled the room. She took a step closer, lowering her voice. You have no idea what I went through. How hard it was to keep this together. To pretend. To maintain the image you wanted, the love you needed. I sacrificed everything. I raised an eyebrow. Everything. Yes, she said, voice shaking slightly. Everything. My career. My friendships. My freedom. All for you. For us. I leaned forward slightly. And in return? Her shoulders tensed. You forgot me. Or my mind chose to protect me, I said. From the truth. Her face went pale. For the first time, I saw her vulnerability clearly. Not weakness exactly. She was still poised, still sharp, but a crack had formed. You think I'm cruel, she whispered. You were, I said. But not without reason. I understand the fear, the need to control, the games. I see it all now. But fear doesn't excuse manipulation. Love doesn't justify cruelty. Her eyes glistened. For the first time, I saw regret, or the first hint of it, mixing with her anger. You've changed, she said softly. This isn't the man I married. No, I said. It isn't. I'm awake. I'm aware. And I see clearly for the first time. And you should start fearing, because I will no longer be a pawn in your games. She stumbled slightly, a rare falter in her otherwise controlled demeanor. What are you saying? I'm saying, I said, my voice firm, that the truth replaced love. And once you hide behind the truth, once you rely on manipulation, once you wield cruelty disguised as affection, the consequences will follow. And you will regret the power you thought you had over me. She froze, staring at me. Silence filled the room, louder than any words. You don't know what you've done, she said finally, voice low. You can't imagine the chaos this will bring. People will see me differently. They'll think I'm wronged, and you'll pay for this. I've already paid, I said. Years of being undermined, tested, controlled. But I've learned now. And I'm not paying anymore. Not to you. Not to anyone. Her lips pressed together. She looked away briefly, then back at me. You're cold. Awake, I corrected. Awake is cold when truth replaces love. She gathered the folder, closing it tightly. This isn't over, she said. I will return. With more. With reminders. With proof. With the world watching. You will see me again, and you will feel something. Because you always do. I leaned back in the bed, folding my arms. I will be ready. Awake. Prepared. And I will not let you manipulate me again. For the first time, I felt real power, calm, measured, unshakable. The fear she once held over me, the subtle control she had wielded for years, was gone, replaced by clarity, insight, and resolve. And as she left the room, closing the door softly behind her, I realized something. Her regret had already begun. She had always underestimated the resilience of the man she thought she controlled. The man she believed could be shaped, molded, and manipulated. He no longer existed. In his place stood someone awake, aware, and unafraid. And the consequences of truth replacing love would ripple far beyond this hospital room. The real story, the one she never expected, was only beginning. It was the morning of my discharge from St. Mary's Medical Center. The sun poured through the hospital windows, highlighting the sterile white walls, the blinking monitors, and the quiet hum of life resuming outside. I felt different. Stronger. Lighter. Not because my body had healed completely, it still ached, but because my mind was fully awake, fully aware, and fully free from the years of manipulation and subtle cruelty I hadn't recognized until now. She arrived one last time before I left. Dressed impeccably, as always, but her aura had shifted. The calculated composure was still there, but beneath it, vulnerability. A thin veil of panic that she tried desperately to hide. "I heard you're leaving today," she said softly. "Yes," I replied. Finally. She stepped closer, eyes searching mine. You remember me, don't you?" I paused, considering the weight of my answer. "Yes. I remember everything now. Every subtle cruelty. Every manipulated word. Every time you wore a mask of love to hide contempt." Her lips pressed together. For a moment, I thought she might crumble. She didn't. She straightened, taking a deep breath, trying to regain control. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you. It wasn't like that." "Wasn't like that," I echoed. "You hid contempt behind smiles. You tested me. You manipulated me. You controlled me. You were cruel, sometimes subtly, sometimes deliberately. And now you pretend it wasn't intentional." Her eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them away. I did what I had to do. You don't know the pressure. The expectations. Everything was on me to keep us together, to maintain appearances. I didn't realize how much it hurt you." I leaned forward slightly, my voice calm, steady, but edged with authority. "You should have thought about that before you built a life on manipulation." Her breathing quickened. "You're cold," she whispered. "I'm awake," I corrected. "Awake, aware, and finally in control of my own life. Not your version of it." She took a hesitant step back, then another, as if she was finally seeing the distance she had created. Not just physically, but emotionally. You're not the man I married anymore," she said. Her voice cracked. For the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. "You've changed." "Yes," I said simply. "I've changed. I remember now, but I also see clearly. And the truth is, I never really knew you. The woman behind the mask was a stranger to me. And now I'm free." Her eyes widened, panic creeping in. "Free," she echoed. "Do you think this is the end? That you can just walk away?" "I already have," I said. "Not physically yet, but mentally. I'm done being manipulated. Done being controlled. Done being someone who bends to your will." She sank into the chair at the corner of the room, trembling slightly. The mask of control had completely fallen away. "You don't understand," she whispered. I loved you. I tried. I tried to make it right. By manipulating me," I said. "By hiding cruelty behind affection. By testing me constantly. That's not love. That's control." Her head fell into her hands. I didn't realize." "You realized too late," I said, voice soft but firm. "Too late to change anything. Too late to undo the years of damage. Too late to reclaim the man you thought you controlled." She lifted her head slowly, tears streaking her face. "Please. I can fix it. We can." "No," I said sharply. "You can't. Because the man you married, he no longer exists. And the man you see before you doesn't need you." Silence. It was heavy, crushing. And for the first time, the power had shifted. "You think you're in control now," she whispered. "But you'll regret this. People will see me differently. They'll believe I was wronged. And you'll be alone, and you'll wish you remembered differently." I smiled faintly. Not mockingly, but with quiet certainty. "Regret isn't mine anymore. It's yours. For every cruel word, every subtle lie, every calculated act of manipulation. And it will follow you wherever you go. Because now I see clearly." She trembled, her composure shattered completely. You're cold," she repeated. "I'm awake," I said. "And awake isn't cold. Awake is free." Her hands shook as she gathered her purse. I didn't mean to." "Save it," I interrupted. "I don't need your excuses. I don't need your apologies. I don't need your love. You have nothing left to give me. Nothing that can touch me anymore. She froze. Then, quietly, she turned and walked toward the door. The click of her heels faded, leaving only the emptiness she had created in my life, and the clarity I had gained from surviving it. I sat there for a long time after she left, staring at the city skyline beyond the hospital windows. The world was bright, full of possibilities, untainted by manipulation or cruelty. For the first time, I felt alive in a way I never had before. My brother entered quietly. He smiled faintly, seeing the calm on my face. "She's gone," he asked. "For now," I replied. "And when she returns, I won't be the same man she remembers. She'll face a version of me she never expected. A man who remembers, who sees clearly, and who no longer fears her." He nodded. "Then it's time to go home." I stood, feeling the strength in my legs, the sharpness in my mind, and the clarity in my heart. The hospital, a place of recovery, of life, and of realization, had given me more than just my physical health back. It had given me freedom, awareness, and the power to reclaim my own life. And as we walked out into the sunlight, leaving behind the sterile white walls and the memory of manipulation, I knew one thing for certain. Her regret had come too late. The years of manipulation, the subtle cruelty, the hidden games, none of it mattered anymore. Because now I was awake, and she was powerless.